This year, Australia is going to give away 185,000 permanent residencies. And you could be one of the lucky people who gets a spot in this group of 185,000. So if you are looking to move to Australia to live, work, study, or just live hassle-free without any sponsorship, then you have landed on the right video. Because today we're going to talk about getting an Australian PR for yourself. So make sure you stick around. Hello and namaste, my name is Nidhi Nagori and welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time here, thank you so much for stopping by. And if you are a regular viewer, thank you so much for spending time with me yet again. I am a finance professional, a digital creator, and also the CEO and founder of Globalogy. At Globalogy, we've helped many people accomplish their dream of going global. Our mission is very simple: careers beyond borders. We help you move from anywhere to anywhere. And to make your move abroad dream come true, we have a variety of custom solutions that might work for you depending on whichever stage in life you're in. So we have our job support service, we have our direct job placement, we also have applying for PRs and visas that we'll talk about in today's video, and we have our masterclasses. I'll leave more info about Globalogy in the description box and in the pinned comment for you to check out. But for now, let's talk about Australia. So the first part of the video, I'm just going to dedicate to basics because I feel like Australia PR is much more tricky than a Canada PR. Now, I have tried applying only for Canada PR, but I did look into Australia PR in details when I did not know of Express Entry and we were looking at an outlet, outside of the US. So that's when I had done my research on Australia, and man, I found it complicated then. I still find it complicated. So there are some terms that you must know. First is onshore and offshore. So if you're living in Australia already, then you're onshore. You probably already know that. If you're not in Australia, then you are an offshore candidate. And you want to apply for opportunities that are available to offshore candidates. They don't call it visa sponsorship or foreigners or anything like that. They call it offshore. Second, you must always know countrywide shortage occupation list and statewide shortage occupation list. Generally, they are very similar, probably like 5 or 10 occupations here and there. But it is very important to know the countrywide shortage occupation list and the statewide shortage occupation list to determine even if you're eligible. You could be a great candidate, study from the best institutions, have great experience, but if your occupation is not in shortage in Australia or in an Australian state, it will be difficult for you to get a permanent residency, especially if you're an offshore candidate. And this is not just for Australia. I read this for any country and every country. So I just want to give you some context. Like, this is the first time that I saw Australia took out a lot of finance occupations away from the shortage occupation list. This is the same country that gave a record number of work visas to auditors, which I have done in the past. That's why I know this, but I know that Australia has given record number of work visas to auditors and software developers in the last 3 years. And for the first time, auditors were not on the shortage occupation list. So to me, that was very surprising. But many other occupations were added, things that I would not even expect to be in shortage, like, very segmented market in marketing was added this time, insurance was added. So just certain fields that I did not even expect were added, and certain fields that I would expect to remain in shortage were taken out. So it's very important to know where you are. If your field is in shortage, only then does it make sense to go ahead with expression of interest. If you are in an occupation that's not in shortage, then I would highly recommend that you either be an onshore candidate or have excellent experience and try to get, visa sponsorship or a pathway like that. And to help you find a job in Australia, I already did a video on finding jobs in Australia. I think it's a bit of an older video, but still valid and worth checking it out, especially if you feel like you don't want to invest and apply for a permanent residency right now. The third thing that I recommend you know is which organization is responsible for doing your skills assessment. So there are multiple agencies like EA, Vetasis, all of these. Depending on whichever occupation you're in, whatever your code is for the occupation, that will determine which agency will evaluate your profile and give you a skills assessment report. You do want to get a positive skill assessment at the end of it, otherwise all the efforts are futile. So it's very important that you know which organization is eligible to do that. The fourth thing that I recommend you know is the difference between subclass 190 and 491. So one is regional visa, which is to work in, say, a certain region, countryside, outside of the bigger city in a state, in an Australian state. And the other one is to work wherever you want in that state, but you don't have to be limited to countryside. Most people use that to work in bigger cities. So knowing which one you're applying for, whether it's 190 or 491, is also important. And the last thing that I recommend you learn about Australian immigration is the state nominations. So every year the Australian government gives each state a certain number of spots, and it is the state nomination that actually we recommend a lot, because if you are a direct fit with a state, your application will be processed directly and very quickly. So the state nominations are allocated in advance, then the states are informed, and that is when the state nominations open up after the states have decided, who they want, what process they want, all of that. So once you are aware of these 5 things, I think you are good to go with Australia PR. Again, I would not recommend this. I'm just being honest. I don't think this is like Canada PR. I don't think this is as straightforward. So I would highly recommend you get some help for your Australia PR application, especially because I've heard that the skills assessment thing is very tricky. So if you're applying for state nomination, depending on where you have maximum chances or where you'd want to be, you might need some tweaking to your application itself. If you need Globalogy to help you, do check out the pinned comment. We also have the basic eligibility criteria written there, so you can read that and also understand if you are eligible or not. Now let's go to screen recording and look at individual state nominations. So I'm going to start here with Victoria. This houses the beautiful city of Melbourne, and I think they have like 5,000 spots this year. I can already see it is open. The 2024-2025 state nomination is now open, and then you can read through here. Okay, so the one thing you want to notice is offshore. That's the word you want to look for. So I see this. It's open for people living in Victoria or overseas, and you can apply under both 190 and 491. Just in interest of time, I'm quickly going to go through this because we have a lot of other states to cover. You can see 5,000 spots were allocated. In order to apply, you must first make or update your expression of interest via Australian Government Skill Select and then submit a registration of interest. So EOI and ROI, these are the 2 things you need to apply here. 190 has 3,000 places, and 491, which is the regional, that one has 2,000 places. So that's the 5,000 in total. If you wanted to live in Melbourne or any other part in Victoria, this is the one that you need to apply for. Let's look at the next one, which is Tasmania. Queensland is not yet open, and I think New South Wales, as I'm shooting this video, is not open. The others are, so we're going to look at that. Again, Tasmania opened on 1st August. They are also open for registrations of interest. So again, there are some features here that you must understand. Changes to some priority attributes, a reduction in some attributes, and then adding some new attributes. All occupations listed on the Australian Government Subclass 194-91 list remain eligible. 18 new occupation groups comprising 78 individual occupations have been added to the Tasmanian onshore skilled occupations. If you're onshore in Tasmania, this would apply to you. There are some changes in income threshold, and then there's an increased service fee to apply for nomination, which is $360 plus $36 GST. There is no charge to submit a registration of interest. Now let's come down here, and there are 19 occupations that have been added to the TOESOL, which is the onshore occupation list. These are the ones that have been added. And you can see finance has been added here. So they've moved it out of the main shortage occupation, and every state, depending on whether they need finance people or not, are then adding it here. There's also critical roles list, and these are all the critical roles that are extremely critical. And I saw winemaker, and I was like, yeah, that's definitely a very critical role to have. There's also food technologist, so quite a few interesting roles that are here. Also, if you have any questions, you can always email them, skilled@migration.gov.au. So this is Tasmania. Let's move on to Western Australia, the beautiful state that has Perth. I think they have the most innovative approach in all the Australian states. If you're talking of innovative immigration ideas, Western Australia is a clear front runner. They have a 30,000 relocation bonus for healthcare workers like nurses and doctors who want to move. They have a 10,000 bonus for construction workers who want to move, and the employers also get money to hire foreign workers. So quite a few different unique opportunities like that I would recommend that you check out. But since we're talking of PR, let's talk about this. The Western Australia program is also open. At least it was open when I last checked and decided to do. Yes, that's right. You can see that it is now open, and it will continue to waive the 200 application fee. So you saw how we had an application fee in Tasmania, but Western Australia has waived that out. Quite a few other features as well that you can look at here. So no application fee, equal invitation ranking for interstate and overseas candidates. So equal rankings. It's not like onshore candidates will get more priority over offshore. And then prioritize invitations if you are in an industry sector with critical demand. I think I've already spoken about this in one of my older videos, that if you are in a shortage occupation, doesn't matter which country it is. If you're like in a critical demand or shortage occupation, your visa will be processed before anyone else's. So you can see that they've written it out as well. Also, they are reducing employment requirements for building and construction industry sector. So just making it easier for employers to hire people. This is also a little complicated. Western Australia, if you're offshore, will probably fit in the general stream. And then there is also graduate stream. If you are people, who've studied in Australia anywhere, then I think you would fit in that. But it is a little complicated because there's Schedule 1, there's Schedule 2, and you'll have to look into, which of these would fit you. Again, if you feel like you need help, reach out to us. We're happy to do this for you, and also happy to file your permanent residency application in Australia. Now that we're done talking about Western Australia, let's move to the next one. This is South Australia. This is also open, and South Australia got 3,800 spots for the year. So this is now open for South Australia stream, which is onshore clients, graduate stream, and also other employment streams. I am more interested in offshore, so let's look at that. Prospective migrants with skills in demand in South Australia will be considered, and if successful, will be invited to apply for the nomination. So if you are offshore, you can definitely apply here. 427 occupations are open to overseas workers through the stream. So you can check that and see if you are eligible. Again, the fees, there are some fees that are applicable here, but submitting a registration of interest, you will probably not pay any fees whatsoever. Now let's move on to the next state, which is ACT, Australian Capital Territory. They are also open. In fact, they have already started invitations, and you can see that the next invitation round will be before 27 September. You have to read through and see what all you are eligible for, but let's look at their allocation. So they have 1,800 spots, 1,000 for 190, and then 800 for 491. You can go through each one of these 190 criteria, 491 nomination criteria. There's also the Canberra matrix, which is very unique to them. And this is this critical skills list that I recommend that you go through. After ACT, we have the Northern Territory. Now, this is not open to offshore clients right now, but it says that offshore applications will be reopened on Wednesday, 14th August. We're already on 31st as of when I'm shooting this video, but it's right now only open for family stream and job offer streams. So right now, if you are an offshore candidate, you need a job offer to apply for this pathway, but I'm pretty sure this is going to open up rather soon because everything else right now is open. So we'll just have to wait and see when the offshore candidates without a job can also apply. Whew, that was a lot of info. And I'm pretty sure you realized how complicated Australia is. You can see that literally every state has its own method of finding people that they really want, finding onshore and offshore candidates. And that's why we highly recommend getting specialized help, whether it's Globalogy or not, that's fine, but please get help if you are confused. This is not as easy as Canada PR or Opportunity Card or Job Seeker or anything like that. In terms of self-filing, I think Australia PR is the most difficult. And that's partly one of the reasons why we even considered express entries, because a lot of it we were not able to understand. Even after going through US immigration and Europe immigration, we found Australia immigration to be much more difficult. So I would highly recommend, unless you are very comfortable with just the legality of it, go for it. But Australian immigration is expensive, much more expensive than other countries, and when you're spending so much money, you want to make sure that you're getting the best results for yourself. So in short, take help when you need it. Of course, the basic eligibility criteria of not being over 45, of being in a shortage occupation list, of having experience, all of that would apply. I'll leave our own form down below just in case you want to check out our service for Australia PR. I have that linked in the description box and in the comment section. And if you are planning to move to Australia, please let me know, because I'm planning an updated job search video. There are a couple of special websites that have opened up in Australia that I want to cover. 3 of these also work for foreign workers. So let me know in the comments if you want me to cover that. Happy to do that as always. And since this info heavy video has come to an end, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you've already subscribed to the channel because there are so many more informative videos that are coming your way. Promise to see you in the next video. Until we meet again, you take very good care of yourself. Stay safe. Namaste.